Good evening, North Carolina A&T Aggie fans, and welcome back to another live edition of the Aggie Pridecast. We missed you guys, but we are back. We are we're a couple of days away from our first athletic contest, and that's North Carolina A&T football, heading down to Winston-Salem, North Carolina to take on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Cross country will be this weekend. Volleyball gets started this weekend, home match on Friday, away match on Saturday at North Carolina Central. So just a very exciting time in North Carolina A&T Athletics. As always, we're coming to you live. So if you have comments or questions, we love to hear some of those and get some feedback from you as we enter into another great season of Aggie Athletics, where our student athletes get a chance to showcase their talents while also getting a great and outstanding education. My guest this week, he's back. He is the North Carolina A&T Director of Athletics, Earl M. Hilton III, and he will join us here, answer some questions for us as we kind of get this thing kicked off. And Earl, I guess I would just start with the simple, how exciting is this for you? I think this is year 14 as the AD, perhaps more than 20 years at the university.
Wow,
So
really? Wow, I had not done the math. B, thanks for making me feel old.
yeah. Well, I'm over here with all this gray hair, so you gotta join the party.
I got plenty of gray hair. No, you're right. We made it through another summer. I cannot wait to get this kicked off and get started. You ran through the list of events this weekend, and certainly excited to be part of those. Great to have the student athletes back. Great to see them. Been to a few practices and watched them as they begin that process of ramping back up and preparation for class and for competition, and just a great time of year heading into the fall, and really excited about it.
What are some of the things that you try to get done over the summer? The schedule is certainly not as intense as it will be starting on Thursday. So just kind of take us through your summer a little bit in terms of some of the things you try to get done from a professional standpoint, and certainly some of the things you try to get done from your home life standpoint.
Yeah, great question. There used to be, back, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, there was a time when you used to have summers, when athletics really did have an ending.
Talk about it.
Sometime in May, early part of June, and there would be a couple months where it would be really slow, and then you'd ramp back up first part of August. It doesn't feel that way anymore. It feels like it's pretty much 12 months a year right now. But my mindset is still that in the summer I'm going to sit down and do all the writing I need to do the policy revisions, work on the handbooks, work on all of the strategies that we need to have in place when I've got time to think and time to strategize and look down the road a piece. This is another summer where most of those are still on my to-do list. I didn't check a lot of them off again. And certainly, you mentioned family. That's what it's all about for all of us. And so every chance I got to sneak away, Carrie is running the roads a lot these days with grandkids. And so every time I can sneak away with her and go see some grandchildren, we did that. But it's a wonderful summer, fast, as you can imagine, with the women's basketball going to the Bahamas last week, and so the summer ended then. And but again, an exciting time to be part of the year, to be in, to get ready for the fall kickoff of sports and the return to school.
Yeah, people will come up to me and say, "Hey, did you enjoy your summer off?" And I always just laugh. It's like, I don't think there's so much prep time now involved in getting ready for the fall season, in terms of getting your personnel ready and making sure that contracts are in place and all those
Right.
kind of things. And like you said, then you have that to-do list of the things you weren't able to do during the year, and by the time you look up, it's the summer is over, and you really didn't get a chance to kind of take that breather the way you wanted to. So certainly a different. And there was like a little gap between football and basketball season. Basketball's like late November, and that has all changed. So
that's gone.
It's all gone. And to that point, the landscape of college athletics is certainly changing, and that's probably the biggest reason to kind of have you on tonight because it just is changing so fast. We just had the NCAA issue, and I think they just settled and all those kind of things, and so that's definitely going to change kind of how business is done in some places. So, just for I guess first we'll get talk about just the changing landscape in college athletics since NIL came down.
Yeah, no, you correctly described it. It's changing so fast, and the permutations and the adjustments that we're having to make. And when I say we, I mean Division I athletics, NCAA, are at a pace that in my memory and my study of college sports, I have never seen it this frenetically. Just in terms of the rapidity of which things are moving and changing, and we're not finished. I mean, we see things on the horizon that we know are coming with the House settlement and what that will mean to us as an institution and certainly as an industry. Trying to get your arms around all of that is, as you suggested, pretty difficult and pretty daunting. I think in large measure, and this is my bias, I think A&T is well positioned to be successful in this space. I think we have some intangible assets as well as some tangible assets that will allow us to weather these changes pretty competitively. And in fact, I think we'll have some competitive advantage. I think we'll be able to leverage some things that will work for us. And I expect that in the next 2 to 3 years, 24 to 30 months, that as this, I hope, settles down and we begin to get some sense of the new normal, what the steady state is going to look like, that we're going to find ourselves in a place where we're happy to be and moving forward with renewed momentum toward continued growth and success.
For those who don't maybe know, can you explain House settlement just a little bit, just kind of what it is, and just how it came about, and what the ramifications will be, because of the settlement?
Sure, and again, we can spend hours trying to dissect this, so I won't do that. The House settlement, as it's colloquially called, is an amalgamation of three lawsuits that were filed against the NCAA and the Power Five conferences. One of them deals with NIL money that could have been earned between 2016 and 2024. Another one deals with Alston money that could have been earned by student athletes between 2016 and 2024. And the third one deals with revenue sharing opportunities that could have been available to student athletes in the past and that will be available to student athletes going forward. And so this settlement is an attempt to try to bring all that under one roof and create a standard system for addressing those concerns and resolving those lawsuits in a way that responds to the needs of the previous student athletes while setting the stage for how we treat our current and future student athletes. So it will involve a lot of money, billions of dollars, billions with a B, that will be transferred from institutions and from the NCAA to student athletes, former student athletes, and it will provide an opportunity moving forward for institutions to share some of the revenue that they may generate as a result of their athletics programs with current and future student athletes. So that's about as high level a summary as I can get. It's going to change how dollars are shared with student athletes, what they can receive. It's well past what we used to call a full grant and aid, a full ride scholarship. It's well beyond that. It will change the number of scholarships available to give to student athletes across sports. So roster limits are going to become a new thing, and scholarship limits will go away. So there will be a lot of moving parts, and perhaps to the casual observer, it won't look that different. Certainly on the inside, as the sausage is made, it will feel and look and behave much differently than it has in the past.
Will now we talk. I guess it's now Power Four. I think one of them has been eliminated. Uh, will that be an exclusive elite club? And will some of those? And this is just your bias, your estimation, just
Sure.
based on because you study this stuff a lot. Will some of those who are in the Power Four now no longer be considered Power Four? Maybe Group of Five. Maybe some of them perhaps even to step down to where we are, FCS level. Will that be just a very exclusive club of teams that have these big TV deals and can really afford the revenue share that you're speaking about?
Yeah, great question. Great question, Brian. And I'll, do my best crystal ball here. I do think that there's going to continue to be changes in conference membership. I think that is going to happen. I suspect that we're in a bit of a lull right now, maybe. Although you see the Big 12 talking to UConn right now, so that could happen any minute. But I think we're probably in a little bit of a quiet phase right now, as people are waiting for the House settlement to find out what it actually looks like when it comes out of the courts and what that means on the ground to every institution. I suspect once we get the actual details of that, sometime early spring, late winter of 25, that we may see an uptick again in schools who are looking for conferences or situations that are more suitable for their new competitive and budgetary constraints. Um, so does that mean that there are some schools that are currently competing at levels or in places that they will decide strategically is no longer where they want to be, and they'll look for new places to land? I think that is probably likely. I would hate to try to handicap and guess, conferences or even schools about who would be looking to move, but I do think that's still ahead of us, and there's going to be another period of significant movement, conference movement, maybe even divisional movement, as we get on the other side of the completed or approved House settlement.
Why do you think A&T is positioned so well? You mentioned that earlier. Why do you think that we are positioned in a good place as the world around us changes?
I think we have some intangible things that perhaps are obvious to us, um, but are refreshing and new to everyone else who sees it. I've heard an expression: "A fish discovers water last." Um, we live, work, breathe at the number one HBCU in the world. A&T is the biggest HBCU on the planet, and that provides a level of comfort, a level of distinction, a level of attractiveness to student athletes that I don't think we always value appropriately. I don't think we recognize what that means. Let me speak for me. Um, I don't think I always value what that means to a student athlete, to a prospective student athlete, to be able to come to an A&T and think about securing a degree from this institution while playing sport, the sport that I love and that I'm good at. I think we undervalue our academic rigor and our academic reputation. I know we talk about it, but I don't know that we see really where we are in the landscape of higher education every day. We have a lot to be excited about academically, athletically, our affiliations, our associations. And those are not going to change. And I think some of those factors are going to be brought to the forefront in ways in the next 18 months to 2 years that will continue to make us an attractive option for a number of highly talented young women and young men who want to play sport at a very high level in a competitive way, but also attend an institution of higher education with an outstanding reputation academically, where they can be comfortable in their own skin in ways that I personally, me, Earl, can only observe. I know what it looks like, but I've never lived it. And so I think we undervalue it sometimes, what we have here at A&T.
Outstanding. We're talking with Earl Hilton, Director of Athletics at North Carolina A&T, and just really discussing just the changing landscape in college athletics. And I think you're right. I think we, man, undervalue what STEM has meant to North Carolina A&T, what engineering has
Dude,
meant. And there are a lot of young black men and young black women who don't live in the South, Southeast, live in the Chicago's, and some of the northern cities who A&T is very attractive to because it's an HBCU and because it has kind of the academic rigor that they are looking for. And so certainly from a recruiting standpoint, whether you're talking athletics or whether you're talking academics, A&T is a very attractive place for people to kind of explore, especially those who are not in within areas where there are a lot of HBCUs.
right. Let me see if I can put some numbers around that. When the last data that I saw, 2010, 2011, I believe we in A&T as an institution was getting somewhere around 10 or 11,000 applications a year for 1,500 to 2,000 spots. The last number I saw for this year, we had over 47,000 applications for 2,500 to 3,000 spots. 47,000 applications. So that's what, 14 years gone from 10,000, 8 to 9, 10,000, 47,000 this year. Um, yeah, they see something, they recognize something that I think those of us who are swimming in every day don't realize is happening.
No question. Uh, Speaking of academics, we have a new chancellor on board, James R. Martin II, and we say a hearty welcome to him and an Aggie pride to him. And certainly he will certainly thinking will be at the first home football game against Winston-Salem State on September 7th. As
Yes.
you have conversations with him, what are some of the things that you kind of want to alert him of as we step into as it relates to athletics? Some of the things that you kind of want to give him a strong understanding of as he enters this new position at A&T.
Well, in the perfect world, I would take my brain and just and give him all the institutional memories, but that wouldn't be good or appropriate because I value the fresh perspective that he brings and the fact that he sees things and is seeing things from a different perspective. Um, so there's nothing magic about athletics. The goals that we have now are the same goals we had 10 years ago that we had 50 years ago. We want to graduate our student athletes. We want to equip them to be successful after they leave sports because everyone leaves sports. Tom Brady had to retire. Everybody leaves sports. And so we want to give them what they need to be successful in that life after sport, whether that happens as soon as they graduate from college or at some point later in the future. And we want to win championships. We want to be competitive in our space and in our sphere, in our peer group. And so the complexities of that have changed a little bit over the last 8 or 9 years. The transfer portal, the autonomy five, and the distinction between the Power Five conferences, now the Power Four conferences, the NIL, and what that has meant or is meaning to our student athletes and opportunities, revenue share, the house settlement. So the complexities of how we graduate student athletes and how we remain competitive, I will concede, are different now and perhaps more involved than they have been in the future. But our goal is still the same. We still want to graduate every student athlete who finishes their eligibility at A&T, and we want to win every championship. We want to win every game. And so that's not a secret, and that's certainly how I've approached every interaction and conversation that I've had with you and with other staff members, and in the few interactions that I've had with Chancellor Martin. That's been the perspective. And he shares that perspective. He values athletics. He recognizes the role that it plays in higher education. And certainly as we transition in the next 3 years to an R1 and the role of athletics in that process, fully on board, fully embraces that the model that we have of excellence in athletics as a component, a necessary ingredient in our aspirations, our institutional aspirations on a much broader scale. So um, have have had a few conversations with him, and clearly he is in the place where he believes that we're heading in the right direction, and looks forward to continue to help us to figure out how we leverage our unique advantages and assets to grow exponentially into the future. I'm excited about it. I look forward to what the next iteration of Aggie Athletics looks like and feels like.
Outstanding. That's a great answer, and certainly good to hear that as we try to move forward and try to be competitive in a space in the CAA, which is very competitive league, and
Sure.
as we talk about that a little bit, want to give some shout outs. ODB, I believe that's Odell Bender, North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Famer, track and field. He's watching, giving us a Aggie Pride. Ryan giving us a lot of love out there. AT Roy saying he wants us to put our foot on the gas. I'm not sure what that means, but I think that means go. I think that means get it
Let's keep
done,
it going.
win
Yeah.
some, win some games, homie. And then we got a question from Jay Hanna, and she wants to know how the athletics budget is progressing. Are we coming closer to our peers in the CAA in terms of budget, and what is the target amount? And are there campaigns on the horizon? So I think I got the gist of her question.
Yeah, that's three
Well,
questions.
it's a her.
So
It's a her.
yeah, so the budget is growing. Yes, we continue to be blessed in our budget growth. We've had back-to-back record years in our AAF fundraising, over $2 million the previous 2 years in donor support. Our state legislature, effective last year, is routing some of the proceeds from new legislation in North Carolina to us. So that is a significant boost to our budget, and certainly appreciated, as well as action that the legislature took several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, which allowed us to monetize our out-of-state students as in-state students if they're on a full ride. And so that is a significant budget savings to us. All of those have allowed us to grow our budget and to redirect some resources into other places, not the least of which is hiring additional staff, coaching staff, but also support staff, so that we can continue to provide the services that our student athletes need. We've added a mental health counselor. We've added a nutritionist in the last year. Again, designed specifically to meet the needs of our student athletes in these times. So budget is growing. Are we competitive? I believe that we are continuing to get more competitive with our CAA peers from a budget perspective. Our budget, I think when we transitioned to the CAA, was in the $15 to $16 million range. We're up over $18 million right now in our budget. And so we are, again, marching in that direction. If I was going to try to give a space where I thought we'd be happy, somewhere north of 20 to 21, I think is where we'll need to land on a regular basis in order for us to do all that we can and need to in the NIL space and the cost of attendance space and the Alston space to continue to recruit and retain the highly competitive student athletes.
No question about it. And man, you mentioned mental health and nutrition. Man, what two outstanding hires. In that realm, nutrition is such an important aspect of even if you're young. Because a lot of especially Black men, hereditarily speaking, um, hypertension, those type of things. So nutrition is absolutely an essential, and then just the mental health piece that I don't think we pay enough attention to. So two areas where we really needed to focus, and I just applaud the thought process and all of that.
Well, thank you, B. I've said it, I think, on this program before. I've said it maybe in other forums. The next hurdle we have to tackle is sleep. I cannot convince these young people how much sleep they need, how much they need to rest and to recover. We can feed you, we can put doctors around you, we can put but you got to rest. You need to eat and then go to bed and let your body heal, let your body recover, let your mind rest, so that you can be sharp in the classroom and sharp on the court and on the field. Now, that's our next project: is how do we help these young folks realize I really do need 8 hours of sleep tonight, and I need to be deliberate like it's my job. I got to go to bed on time so that my body can recover and heal.
No question. We're here with Mr. Earl Hilton, Director of Athletics for North Carolina A&T, and we're talking about some changes. And let's bring it home just a little bit because you mentioned $18 million budget right now. Our season ticket base is growing without question. And so, by circumstance, parking is going to change. How we do seating is going to change. All of those things are going to be changes that we probably are going to go away from our traditional way of doing things to having to do it a little more open and more equity involved and all of that. Talk about that a little bit. Just change is hard, but how do we best prepare our Aggie fans for some of the changes that are on the horizon?
No, B, I appreciate you teeing that up for me that way. Yeah, change is painful. It hurts. It hurts. Um, and and our loyal Aggies have stayed with us, with me through a number of changes, um, and I appreciate that. Um, we had some changes to our ticketing system this year that were painful for some folks. Uh, we still haven't worked all those bugs out, um, but there'll be some more adjustments in the years coming as we move forward um, in our athletics programs. As you said perfectly well, changes is hard and it's painful. It's also inevitable if we're going to grow, if we're going to move forward, if we're going to survive, not just survive, thrive, if we're going to provide the kinds of experiences that our student athletes deserve, that they have a right to expect from us, we're going to have to continue to evolve and to grow and to change. We will try to be as clear and as transparent as we can. Now, I have learned, Ryan, I have been told that I'm not a great communicator, that I don't. And you know that you have
Who,
to
who,
twist
would,
my
who,
arm.
would, who would tell you that? I mean, yeah, that person must be totally rude.
So I'm going to make another commitment to you. I will come. I will be on the show. I will speak as often as I can, because I want to be as transparent as we can with our fans, because the changes are coming. They're happening, and I know what I think some of them will be. Others, I don't even know. I'm not dreaming about yet. I don't even know what they're going to look like, but I know it's going to happen. And as soon as we can anticipate them and see them, I'd love to share them with our fans. And so my commitment to you, B, is I will come on here and talk as often as you want me to come visit. As long as our loyal fan base can stand listening to me rattle on, I will be happy to try to answer any questions that I can in this space, because I do believe that we can do a better job communicating what's happening in athletics.
Yeah, and I will say this: they love when you are on, and they love when some of our policymakers are on, because they really do enjoy the communication and just the what's going on and those type of things. And I think this allows us to reach some of our fan base outside of Greensboro,
Sure.
and so certainly it is very much appreciated. When you come on and when you speak to some things that people have questions about. People want to
Yeah.
know about ticketing and homecoming. It sells out in the drop of a
12
dime now.
hours.
Yeah.
Dude,
So I'm sure some
I
people
don't
want
have
you
any
to kind of,
tickets.
yeah.
I bought my season books, back in the summer, but I normally get some tickets before homecoming to give out to people, to take care of people. I got nothing. I got
Yeah.
nothing to share. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. 12 hours.
It is, and that is more of a plug toward getting your season tickets, because that is the
Preach.
trick. Get your
Preach.
season tickets. It's probably about $100 more than you would have to pay for the homecoming ticket, but
You
you're
get
in
4 more
there.
games.
You get 4 more games. That's right. And certainly, you can always, if you can't make all four of those, you can certainly be a blessing to someone and allow them to go into an A&T game, great experience with the band and the atmosphere and all of those kind of things. And so it's always a good plug for season tickets. Purchase those. Those go in June, and you can go ahead and knock out the homecoming game, and you're out the door. So, but I've had now the outcry has been to grow the stadium,
Yeah,
and I think we can grow the stadium when we're selling out those 4 games that you were talking about. Yeah.
exactly. When
Yeah.
we sell it all 5, man, we're going to start building some more seats.
No question. Certainly, you are becoming a popular guy here. Got a lot of stuff in the chat. Got a track mom watching us. I don't want to attempt her first name, so I'll just say Latoya. I think is the last name, but she is saying the mental health piece is outstanding. A.T. Roy is schooling me here. Apparently, the new chancellor has used foot on the gas quite a few times, and it is so much so it's a hashtag now. So thank you for that, A.T. Roy. And got a couple of questions here. I think we kind of did the homecoming tips, get your season tickets. So I think we handled that one. But this guy's a great segue into facilities. James wants to know about the renovations at War Memorial and what the status is on those renovations.
Yeah, great question. War Memorial, when it came offline after the end of the spring baseball, physical plant got in, needed to retest the concrete. Again, War Memorial is almost 100 years old, I think 1928. So they wanted to retest the concrete. We hadn't done a concrete sample in, I believe, almost 10 years. So to see what the strength was there, they wanted to recheck for asbestos because we're going to begin the demolition on War Memorial this fall. We're going to begin knocking stuff down. And so they needed to verify the concrete and verify where we were with the renovation. They also needed to check the structure, the memorial piece of the stadium, because as everyone knows, that piece is staying. So the memorial structure has to survive the demolition of the seating area and the rebuilding of the seating area. And so that sampling, that testing occurred June, July, middle part of August. We expect to begin seeing some dirt fly over there as we knock stuff down this fall. Great question.
I always keep what Coach Hall said. We just should put maybe a bulldozer or a shovel right outside there just to say it's coming,
It's coming, right.
Just as a good recruiting tool. Just put a shovel out there. Yeah.
He has been
break
so
up the ground.
patient. I've been talking to him for 10 years, and he's listened to it for 10 years. He's been so patient.
Yeah, no question. Shout out to head coach Ben Hall of baseball. Just had a guy drafted in the draft once again.
Yeah.
He's done a great job of having that Kenyon Brown. I like to call him Cannon Brown because he has such a great arm, and that's part of the reason why he was drafted. And so we wish him all the best in the Kansas City Royals organization. Going over to Truist, do you see the Truist area? Do you see softball moving at all as a part of those renovations, or do they stay the same? Are there any progress with practice fields and things of that nature?
Yeah. So big picture, yes, softball moving over to War Memorial. I think in the next 3 to 4 years that will happen as part of the development of the baseball softball complex at War Memorial Stadium. Practice fields have to happen faster than that. So we've talked to Coach Brown and talked to facilities people here on campus. We considered briefly for a minute putting turf, AstroTurf, a solid surface in the stadium. But for all the reasons that everyone's reading about now, we decided not to do that. That's not what we want our players to have to play on and practice on a regular basis. And so we're going to keep the interior of the stadium grass. But we are, when I say next summer, we're going to build 2 new practice fields for football. Now, they will be grass, but they'll be crowned. They'll be built just like the in-stadium field right now. So they'll drain the water off, and we'll be able to use those immediately after inclement weather. We will use those 2 practice fields until we're able to move softball. Once we move softball over to War Memorial, then we'll come in with an artificial surface where the softball stadium is. That will serve as football and band and soccer and other intramurals as a solid surface field that we can use, obviously, independent of the weather, what's happening outside. So that's kind of the moving parts and when that's going to happen. 2 new practice fields for football by next summer. War Memorial hopefully knocking stuff down this this fall. We'll put a new track in this track stadium next summer. We'll resurface that track, put another Mondo surface down there. And then as we can get more Memorial moving, then we'll move the softball stadium over there. That will free us up to put an artificial surface where the softball field is right now.
And wow, that's a lot going on. That's a lot of moving and shaking, man. Uh, in terms of basketball, what's the long term plan? Is there a convocation center in our future? Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Convocation. That's a bigger ticket item. That's a quarter billion dollars. That's $230 million to do that right. But that's the plan, to put it over in the newly acquired space the university is slowly getting. But we can't wait that long to address some of the needs in Corbett. So we're doing some small things right now, some one-offs. We're expanding a weight room facility in Corbett right now. We expect to have that up by Christmas for our student athletes that use Corbett as their home base. We are also exploring ways to make the bowl of Corbett more accessible. At one time, as you recall, you remember, we had brown bleachers in all of Corbett, and you could walk from that entry level, you could walk down to the floor. When we put the new bleachers in, that opportunity went away. And so you've got basically two staircases in Corbett to get you down and out. And that's not a great design, and it's not easy for our fans to navigate, and would be difficult for us to evacuate that space quickly if we needed to. Right. So we are trying to figure out how we can create more avenues of ingress and egress into the bowl of Corbett. I don't have the answer to what that will look like or when that will happen, but that will occur before the convocation centers. But so I'm thinking sometime in the next 3 to 7 years, we'll be able to do some significant stuff for the fan experience in Corbett. We're doing some stuff right now for the student experience in Corbett, but we need to do some things for the fan experience in Corbett.
Outstanding. With Athletics Director Earl Hilton on the Aggie Pridecast, our first one of the year. We're excited about being back, and certainly looks like our fans are excited about us being back. And somebody had a question about the football weight room. Is there anything going on with that? I know we were there the other day. There's a nice nutrition bar. Like wow, nutrition bar. Like we've grown so much. The kids were just coming in and grabbing sandwiches and all those kind of things. But the weight room is, in terms of football, is everything pretty much going on board there?
So we gave that space a facelift 3 or 4 years ago. Took all the equipment out, put in new rebranded equipment, eliminated the lifting platforms, built those into the floor. We've added some pressure plate stuff this year in that space. So the next iteration of the weight room at Bryan will be part of a remodel, and we'll be expanding it. And that's, again, part of the plans of our $420 million master plan in athletics. It's part of that plan. But there's nothing imminent in the weight room. You mentioned the nutrition bar. That's new. Our nutritionist and our strength and conditioning staff monitoring and servicing our student athletes in that space. But those are all nibbling around the edges until we can actually break ground on a new facility and increase the size of that footprint.
Outstanding. Now, you mentioned the S word, but it wasn't swimming. William Henry Hughes is asking about swimming coming back, but you didn't mention the word soccer. And I know that there were plans in 2020 to bring back soccer for various reasons. It didn't work out, but how close is soccer to being a North Carolina A&T varsity sport?
Yeah, soccer is one artificial surface away. I mean, we don't have it now because you can't play on a crown surface. I mean, if we play soccer inside the stadium, we'd have women's soccer right now. It's a sport that the CAA offers, and we could be competitive in that space. North Carolina is a hotbed of soccer. We wouldn't have any trouble recruiting, retaining student athletes in that sport. So, but what we need is a flat field. We need a field that you can play soccer on. And so that's another part of our build-out plan, is to create a surface that would allow us to provide some additional athletic opportunities for our student athletes.
No question. As I'm sitting here looking at the background that we have up, I see number 22 there, Attles. He's the first one to have his number retired at North Carolina A&T. And when you go back and look at his story, wow, what an impactful life that he had, and what an impactful life he had in the Bay Area. I mean, you think about more than 60 years in the same organization.
The same
Uh,
organization. That just doesn't happen.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We're out there welcome in 6 years. 60 is absolutely incredible. Kind of tells you about who he is as a man and his character. Just talk about what it means to lose someone, a legend like that,
Yeah, of
uh,
that stature.
of
Yeah,
that stature, who's a North Carolina A&T Aggie.
right. So when you're talking about someone who has been with an organization for 60 years, you're talking about an institution. You're talking about the face. You know, he's the face of the Warriors. I mean, he is the institution of that 60 years. And the fact that he came out of North Carolina A&T, he played for us, coached by Coach Irvin, CIAA championships, and that he has given back and been involved and been part of our community speaks volumes about the integrity of the man. I mean, 60 years in one organization tells you all you need to know about his character. You don't keep people around that long if they just don't have stellar, unimpeachable character. So clearly, the 60 years tells us all we need to know about what kind of a person he is. And certainly as an athlete for us, and the trail setting example and the teammate that he was, and the visibility he provided then and now for us, certainly appropriate for us to memorialize and to remember his significant contributions to us, Golden State, with the news of his recent passing.
Talking about Attles, who recently passed at the age of 87. Number retired in Corbett Sports Center. That was a great ceremony. Hard to believe it was 9 years ago. Wow, such time goes by so fast, but he
It's
was
so
certainly,
fast. Yeah.
yeah, and certainly, his number is definitely deserved, and he will be missed. And such a great Aggie, and such a great job by Daniel Williams that now we have those walls downstairs in Corbett, so that people can kind of get a glimpse of how rich our basketball history really is at North Carolina A&T, and certainly he was a huge part of that.
Sure. Absolutely.
Uh, let's talk a little bit about football. I think I'm pushing my producer to the limit there. I think he has to get out of here pretty soon. Uh, I'm calling this like the Bill Hayes back to back, because we got Wake Forest, where he was the first black coach in the ACC when he coached there at Wake Forest, and then of course,
He's going to be celebrated Thursday night. Wake Forest is going to honor him Thursday night.
that's outstanding. And I think they're going to do something with our new chancellor as well, if I heard that correctly. So kudos to Wake Forest. I can't wait to get down there and see you guys. And then of course, the following week we have Winston-Salem State, where he was the head coach at both institutions. Talk about the schedule. The first two games are great. Two local
Fantastic.
games. Yeah, ACC team, and then you bring Winston-Salem State back to Truist Stadium for the first time, I think, in 14 years.
At least, yeah.
And just a great way to start the season. Talk about that a little bit.
And I want to get to that, Beeb. But since you brought up Coach Hayes, let's shout out to Coach Hayes, Coach Broadway, Coach Brown as nominees for the College Football Hall of Fame. Excited for all three of those gentlemen. Well-earned honor, even to be nominated, even to have their names put in that conversation. Certainly, we look forward to the vote and see where that lands. But excited about all three of those. So, yeah, fantastic schedule for us to open the season with Wake, and then have Winston-Salem come to the house and renew that rivalry and those friendships. You've heard me say I would play. I love playing an FBS school every year. It could be Wake, Duke, Carolina, and State, and we just rotate them. I'm happy with that. I would do that. I would do that if we could. We can't. We haven't been able to work that out. But I love having these games that feel like, from a travel perspective, like home games for us. I mean, driving to half an hour to Wake is going to be easy for us, easier for our fans. And certainly Wake will be a great host, and it'll be a wonderful experience for us, for our band, for our student athletes. Looking forward to that. And then, of course, the following week, Winston-Salem coming here, renewing that game, renewing our friendships and associations with our friends, with the Rams. Again, a great way to start the season off.
No question about it. North Carolina A&T Athletics is in full swing. Speaking of swing, golf will be starting really soon in early September, and so we've got a women's basketball non-conference schedule out there for the public to kind of take a look at. Tar Heels are coming to Club Corbett this year to play women's basketball, so certainly they have an exciting schedule, and certainly we're anticipating men's basketball coming down the pike, and then volleyball. I saw them on Sunday. Was it Saturday at
Saturday.
UNCG?
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, don't sleep on
Don't
us.
sleep on them.
Don't
Yeah, don't
sleep
sleep
on
on
us.
us.
Yeah, don't sleep on Mr. Clifton and some of the things that he's doing with the North Carolina A&T volleyball program. And so certainly excited about what is to come. And just kind of give us your final thoughts as we kind of get into this crazy season that we're about to get into.
Yeah, this is, I went to college a long time ago and never left. I love this. I love the idea of lifelong learning. I love being in an environment that stimulates curiosity, where people are excited to have questions and then go find the answer to those questions. I love being in that kind of a rich, content-based soil. And then I get to layer that with sports, with competition, with young men and women who are literally giving us everything they have, physically and emotionally and mentally, to be the best that they can in their craft. We get to watch, we get to cheer, we get to support. I can't think of a better place or a better thing to be doing. I'm so excited about this year and the years to come. This is exactly what I want to be doing.
Outstanding. September 7th, we will honor 12 new North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Famers. Excited for them. And certainly, as you know, I've been here long enough to have watched and
A lot of
covered
them
some of
play.
them. So, no, yeah, I know. So I feel some kind of way about that. But I'm happy for them. And it just kind of shows a little longevity there. But it's good. You know, it's always wonderful to see them come back as adults, as moms, as dads, within their career, and just see the impact that North Carolina A&T had on them. So certainly going to welcome a lot of those guys back. I remember watching Jeremy Jones play. I remember
Yep.
watching Brittany Taylor-James play. So some of those guys, J.J. Miller, gets the chance to come back. And so, those are just – and then Bob Beeman will be here on
Bob Beeman.
campus.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know that name, Google it. I mean, he's special, and his Olympic record
That's
is
the
still
longest standing record. Yeah.
I think somebody got the world record, but nobody's ever broken the Olympic record that he captured back in 1968. So certainly a lot of exciting things going on, and we're excited about those things. And I know I pushed my Desmond to the limit there, so I appreciate your time and all of those things, and hope to have Earl back real soon. This has just been a great conversation. I think we've informed a lot of people, and I think people are just are excited. And I think somebody's asked about, do we have a A.D. Hilton T-shirt? Is that is that a new item in the bookstore?
I don't know where I got this. Is a Nike. It's a good question.
Oh man! But thank you, Earl. We're going to check out here, and we're going to check you again next time. We'll have another new great guest that'll be great and informative for you. Until next time, Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. Thanks, B.